provider of care. The glazed pots have an advantage that they will hold moisture in a little bit more. Both the plastic and the glazed aren't porous, so the water sticks a little longer. So if you have an area that's like on your south side or is a little bit more exposed, you want to use a type of pot that holds moisture. And there's some very beautiful plastic lightweight pots. I really like these because you can move them around, and if you're like me and want to move them to where you're entertaining, there's these kind of pots and pots that look like they're glazed, but they're very lightweight. So you can really plant in anything, but one of the most important things in any pot that you decide is to have adequate drainage and having good holes in the bottom. And I see more plants die because of too much water than not enough water. And a thing that you really want to watch out is a lot of people put their pots and then put a saucer on the bottom of them. And every time that they water it, they water a lot and that saucer fills up. And the death knell of most plants are to be sitting in water. That will produce a lot of bacteria and a lot of rot and fungus, and that can kill a plant pretty much faster than anything else can. So if you are using the saucers below them, make sure that you empty that out and do not allow the pots to sit in the water. So we have our pots. The next thing, soil is extremely important. I think even more than the plants, because if you have bad soil in the pot, no matter how wonderful you do your choosing of your plants, they just won't grow very well. And people ask me, well, can't I just use the soil from last year? And I want to say that that really is a no-no. You can recycle that soil, put it in the garden, use it outside, but the plants in containers rely on that soil and what you give them for the whole year. It's not like your outdoor plants that their roots get really long and they kind of go and find what they need. So that soil has had nutrients and all the good stuff that planter has used last year has been spent. And the other thing, any kind of bacteria or fungus or viruses that were left from last year are going to be going into your new plants for this year. So you really want to empty that out, clean out your pot so you start fresh and new. And the type of soil that I recommend is a very loose, lightweight soil for containers. Your garden soil is so different because in your gardens you have earthworms and you have all sorts of bacteria, things moving and fluffing up the soil. But in a container, if you use that outdoor heavy soil, it's going to compact and compact and compact. And what you are looking for is the roots of your plants to really go out to the end of that container. And if it's really tight and locked up, you're not going to have that. So your plants are not going to do so well. So I would get brand new soil. And people always ask me, well, what soil type is the best? I can't really answer that. I use a couple brands that I like. Some of the big major brands are contracted out to different places. So one year it's good and one year it's bad. But you really almost can feel and tell if it's a lightweight. If you pick up your potting soil, try to get the professional potting soil. If it weighs 100 pounds, that's kind of a no-no, don't use it in your pots. Okay, I've just been asked about the new organic potting soils. They're very good, but just make sure because some people are putting those out and they're a little heavy. So just test that, and you want a pretty light mix for your containers. So you got the basics. The other thing you've got to really worry when you're doing containers is that soil only has enough nutrients for a certain amount of time. And because your plants are in that pot all year, all season, you're going to need to give extra fertilizing to make those plants great. And over my experience at the garden center, fertilizer is key. You know, some people want to use the natural organic fertilizers or, you know, the regular fertilizers. Either one, the plants need food to survive, and it really seems like the more, you know, I watch that, the more flowers, the more color, the more growth that I get. And just what I do in my flowers at the garden center is I will start out with some kind of long-term fertilizer when I plant. Osmocote is probably the most well-known, and these have little coatings on them, and so they really slowly seep out the fertilizer for over a 3-month period. And so I put this in, and I kind of know I've got my bases covered, that there is going to be fertilizer and those plants will be well fed. But I also use some of the water-soluble fertilizers down the road, especially when it gets hot and the plants are growing heavily. You know, they start competing for some of that food. So I will use this when I plant, and then I will usually once a month give them a water-soluble fertilizer just to give them an extra influence. So once you've got the basics done,